Hello dear students. So, this is the continued part of thermoanalytical methods. So, in my previous class we started discussing about the introduction to thermal methods of analysis. So, there we understood what is meant by thermal methods of analysis, that is the physical and chemical changes a sample undergoes when heated, which are the characteristic of the material being examined. Okay. So, this is what we are going to do in thermal methods of analysis. That means, we are going to observe or note down the physical and chemical changes a sample will undergo when it comes in contact with the temperature. Either the temperature might be increased or the temperature might be decreased. What and all the changes, physical and chemical changes that is going to happen to that sample which is under examination is studied. Okay. So, either say for example, the physical changes are melting point or boiling point, the changes in melting point or boiling point which may take place widely varying temperature, and also the decomposition or oxidation of the particular sample which takes place at different temperature is clearly noted down or understood by performing thermal methods of analysis. Okay. So, this is what the introduction part of thermal methods of analysis explains, and moving on to the various techniques of thermal analysis which was summarized in the table. So, there we saw mainly in our class, that is in this syllabus we are going to discuss about 3 different techniques, that is one is thermogravimetry and derivative thermogravimetry and differential thermal analysis. Okay. So, these are the 3 main techniques which we are going to discuss in this chapter, and we also started discussing about thermogravimetric analysis. What is meant by thermogravimetric analysis? That means, so here as the name itself says, gravimetric means the measurement of mass. We are going to measure the mass. So, that was discussed in our previous class, and also we briefly discussed about the principle. What is the principle involved? We took the example of thermal analysis of silver nitrate, and there we saw how the decomposition temperature of silver nitrate is observed. Okay. So, this is the graph which we discussed in our previous class. So, here the loss in mass continues up to 608 degrees. So, this is what we observed here at 473 degree centigrade. So, the loss in mass of AgNO3, that means the AgNO3 is going to get decomposed into Ag plus NO2 plus O2. Okay. So, here when this reaction starts, so the decomposition of silver nitrate is going to take place. So, the reaction is initiated at 473 degree centigrade. Okay. So, this is what we studied in our previous class, and in this class we are supposed to discuss about the instrumentation of thermogravimetric analysis. Okay. So, this is the block diagram of thermogravimetric analysis, instrumentation of thermogravimetric analysis. It is a modern thermobalance. Okay. So, the instrument which is used for thermogravimetric analysis is called as thermobalance, and this is the block diagram of modern thermobalance. Okay. So, the principle of thermogravimetry is based on the simple fact that the sample is weighed continuously as it is being heated to elevated temperature. Okay. So, elevated temperature means the change in temperature. As the temperature goes on decreasing or increasing, so we are going to measure the weight of the sample. Okay. So, that is what the principle of thermogravimetry is based on. So, here we should understand the simple fact that in thermogravimetry what happens is we are going to measure the weight of the compound continuously as it is being heated to elevated temperatures. Okay. So, various different components which are present in the instrumentation of thermogravimetric analysis are: the first one is the balance, the furnace temperature, programmer or controller, and the fourth one is a recorder. Okay. So, these are the 4 different components which we can observe in modern thermobalance. Okay. So, the balance. So, this is the balance. Balance you have already you have seen it in our classes. Okay. So, this is the balance, and this is the furnace. Okay. And This is the furnace controller. So, this is called as furnace controller, furnace temperature programmer, or it is called as furnace controller, and this is the recorder. Okay. So, these are the different types of components which we can observe in instrumentation of thermogravimetric analysis. Okay. So, here what are the instrumental factors which we have to observe is so the effect of furnace atmosphere. So, here to maintain the temperature or the environment in a constant way is very important. The test samples are generally heated in a vacuum. Okay. So, here so this will be a vacuum. So, here this is what is called as the sample container, or it is a furnace. Okay. So, this environment has to be controlled with the temperature. We have to control the temperature. So, usually to control the temperature, what we will do is we are going to use the inert gases. We will use inert gases so that we should not observe any difference in temperature inside the furnace. So, if there is a change in temperature, that will directly affect on the sample which we have inserted in the instrument. So, that is why, so the whole setup is of consists of vacuum where the presence of inert gas will be observed. Okay. So, in order to remove the gases formed during sample heating and also to prevent the occurrence of any undesirable reactions, we have to maintain the constant temperature, or the temperature should be under vacuum. Okay. So, that is why, so here in this block diagram you can observe, so here the gas has been pulled out. Okay. So, to create the vacuum here, to create a vacuum in this furnace where we have sample container. So, we should insert the inert gases, or it should be free from gas to avoid the undesirable reactions which can take place inside the furnace. Okay. So, the common atmospheres involved in thermogravimetry are as follows, like static air, dynamic air and inert atmosphere. So, these are the three different atmospheres, the common atmospheres that are involved in the thermogravimetry. Thermogravimetric analysis. Okay. So, an electrical furnace is often used and the furnace enclosure is cleansed with a suitable gas to provide a inert atmosphere. Okay. So, that is why I told we are going to use a inert gas, that is because here an electrical furnace should be used and it should be clean. We have to clean it, we have to clean the furnace enclosure with a suitable gas, that is especially the inert gas, to create inert atmosphere. The temperature is measured by a thermocouple or resistance. Okay. So, we are going to measure the temperature with the help of thermocouple or resistance sensor. Okay. So, that you know we use resistance sensor to measure the temperature, how much temperature that furnace contains. So, that is measured with the help of thermocouple or resistance sensor, and the heating is controlled by computer system. We will be the whole setup, the whole instrument will be connected to a computer where we can adjust the temperature control will be adjust with the help of a computer. Okay. The analytical sample is taken in a suitable inert crucible. So, just like silica crucible or aluminum crucible we have to take, that means that crucible should be stable for the temperature, means how much temperature we are going to increase. Say for example, if we have to reach until 500 degree or 1000 degree centigrade, it means that the crucible what we are going to use, it should be a inert crucible. That means that crucible itself should not react with the environmental temperature, only the compound which we are going to take in that crucible, that has to show the reactions, that is the physical and chemical changes which can take place due to the temperature which has been observed in the environment should be studied. So, that is why the crucible what we are going to take, it should be in inert crucible. This may be made up of alumina, platinum or ceramic. Okay. So, the crucible will be made up of alumina, platinum or ceramic. Say for example, the platinum crucible will bear up to 1000 degree centigrade, means we can go up to 1000 degree centigrade, and a ceramic crucible will go up to 1400 degree centigrade, and silica crucible will go up to 2000 degree centigrade. Like this, by seeing means what sort of sample we are taking, whether the sample is resistance to higher temperature, if it is resistance to 1800 1900 degree temperature, then obviously we have to use a silica crucible, because if we use platinum, means that crucible itself may undergo physical and chemical changes when it is kept inside the furnace. Okay. So, that is why we should be very careful in choosing the crucible which we are going to use for the analytical sample. A sample of around 10 mg, 10 mg of sample is more than enough. If we can use 10 mg of sample is taken for the study. So, thermocouple suitable for temperature range is selected. So, that is also very important. We have to choose a thermocouple whose temperature range is suitable for the analysis of the analytical sample which we have taken. Okay. And next, moving on to the next topic, that is the mass of a sample is determined using thermobalance. Okay. So, here this thermobalance will measure the mass of the given sample, which is highly sensitive, that is 10 to 100 mg. So, this balance is cleansed, purged with dried nitrogen for protection. Okay. So, this is how we are going to perform thermogravimetrical analysis. Okay. And this is all about the instrumentation part of thermogravimetric analysis. And the next part of interest in this topic is applications. What are the applications? Mainly this thermogravimetric analysis is a technique which is used to characterize the compounds. Okay. So, once we synthesize a compound, either it might be an organic compound or an inorganic complex, we have to characterize it. What is meant by characterize? Characterization means we are going to check that whether the compound which I have synthesized is the compound what I desire to synthesize. Say for example, in my mind I want to synthesize a heterocycle. A heterocycle means what? Heterocycle should contain a heteroatom. Okay. So, it is an organic compound which contains a heteroatom. That means other than carbon, say for example, if we take a benzene ring, so there in benzene ring 6 carbons are present. So, any one of the carbon will be replaced by one heteroatom. It might be oxygen or nitrogen or sulfur, whatever. Okay. So, that is what is called as a heterocycle. So, characterization means what? I am going to use various different techniques like NMR spectroscopy, mass spectroscopy, IR spectroscopy, and these are for organic compounds. In the same way, this is analytical technique. Okay. So, there are various analytical techniques like I will check the compound whether it is pure or whether the desired compound has been synthesized. I am going to check it through TLC, either thin layer chromatography, column chromatography or gas chromatography. In the same way, these are the techniques which are used for characterization. In the same way, the thermogravimetric analysis or these thermal methods of analysis or thermoanalytical methods, these are the methods which are used to characterize a compound, characterize an organic compound or an inorganic compound. Okay. So, the characterization is very important in case of research. While performing a research, research means what? We are going to synthesize a new compound, right? We are going to synthesize a new compound where we are going to find out, we are going to characterize whether I have synthesized the compound in a pure way, whether the purity is 100%, whether I have got yield 100%. So, all these things comes under characterization. Okay. So, the main application of thermogravimetric analysis is for characterization. Okay. So, now let us see one by one what are the applications of thermogravimetric analysis. So, this technique, that is thermogravimetric analysis technique, has been widely used in analytical chemistry. So, some of the important applications are listed here. So, the first one is automatic thermogravimetric analysis. So, the thermogravimetric analysis gives us the information, automatic informations of changes in physical and chemical properties of the sample which is under examination, and to determine the correct drying temperature of precipitates used in gravimetric analysis. We can determine the correct drying temperature of precipitates with the help of thermogravimetric analysis. Okay. That is evaluation of gravimetric precipitants. Which gives us, when we do the evaluation of gravimetric precipitants, it determines the correct drying temperature of precipitates which is used in gravimetric analysis, and to identify the stability of the substances which are unstable at ambient temperatures due to the absorption of carbon dioxide and water molecules from air. Okay. Certain compounds, certain molecules, say for example, some of the heterocyclic compounds and also the amino acids and peptides, so they are moisture sensitive. They easily absorb the carbon dioxide and water molecules which is present in the environment, and they change their physical and chemical properties. The mass of the compound is also going to get changed. For example, the phenylalanine containing amino acid, there are derivatives of phenylalanine compounds. So, when they come into the room temperature or when they are exposed to the environment, so they absorb moisture and they convert their physical state to a gummy appearance. Means if we keep it in a desiccator, or if it is free from moisture or carbon dioxide which is there in the environment. So, the phenylalanine derivatives are solid in nature. Okay. But when they come in, when they are kept outside in an open environment, they very often, means very fastly, they are going to absorb the moisture or carbon dioxide which is present in the environment, and they change their physical state which was solid, they get converted into gummy type nature. Okay. So, like this, so certain substances are unstable at ambient temperature due to the absorption of carbon dioxide and water from air. Okay. So, this can be identified. So, we can identify whether the original nature of the compound is solid or does it have a gummy or liquid state. Okay. So, that can be identified. That means the stability of the substance which are unstable at ambient temperature due to the absorption of carbon dioxide and water molecule from air could be clearly identified with the help of thermogravimetric analysis. And the fourth part of application is determination of composition of complex mixtures. Okay. So, we can just like how I explained in the principle, while explaining the principal part of thermogravimetric analysis. So, we can easily find out the composition, what and all the compositions are present in the complex mixtures. As the temperature goes on increasing or goes on decreasing, so it is going to evolve certain compounds, like it might be a water molecule or it might be a carbon dioxide. So, as the temperature increases, it is going to get dehydrated or decarboxylated. So, then what happens? Obviously, it will get fragmented. Fragmented means the compositions will get separated. So, that is why. So, this technique is used to determine the composition of complex mixtures. Okay. And the next part of application is determination of purity and thermal stability of analytical reagents, including primary and secondary standards. Okay. So, this is a very interesting part of application, that is we can also check the purity. Say for example, when a compound absorbs carbon dioxide and water molecule which is unwanted, it should not absorb it, then obviously when it absorbs the water molecule, it is impure, we can call it as impure. Okay. Our original compound or pure compound, it should be free from water molecule or carbon dioxide. When water molecule is there along with the original compound, definitely it is a impure. That water molecule is called as impurity. We have to remove that impurity. We have to remove that water molecule. So, to remove that, we should first determine whether the compound is associated with any other impurities like carbon dioxide or water molecules. Does it have any other constituents along with that? So, that has to be determined first. Okay. So, that is easily done with the help of thermogravimetric analysis, that is determination of purity and thermal stability of analytical reagents, including primary and secondary standards. Okay. And next application is for studying the sublimation behavior of various substances. Okay. So, this is very interesting behavior of some substances, some various substances, that is what is meant by sublimation, that means directly it changes its state from solid to gaseous state. Okay. So, usually how the states are going to change. So, as we increase the temperature, solid will get converted into liquid, liquid will get converted into gaseous. Okay. So, this is quite common form of change of state. For example, if we take water, so water in the form of ice, it will be in a solid state. Okay. As the temperature increases from solid state, it is going to get converted into a liquid state. Okay. So, it will come to the liquid state, what we call it as water molecules. Okay. Solid, that is ice is going to get converted into water, H2O, and then as we go on increasing the temperature from the liquid state, it is going to get converted into gaseous state, where we call it as water vapors. Okay. So, this is how the change in state is going to take place, whereas sublimation means directly from solid to gaseous state it is going to get changed. Okay. So, for studying the sublimation behavior of various substances, so this thermogravimetric analysis is useful. And next is to determine the Curie point in ferromagnetic materials. Okay. So, what is meant by Curie point? So, the temperature above which certain materials lose their permanent magnetic properties to be replaced by induced magnetism. Okay. Certain compounds will have the permanent magnetic properties, some compounds. Okay. So, this is studied in inorganic chemistry. So, some of the materials will have a permanent magnetic property. The Curie point means, so the temperature above which certain materials which lose their permanent magnetic properties to be replaced, other means when the permanent magnetic properties removed. So, induced magnetism is seen in such materials. So, this is what is called as Curie temperature. Okay. So, those substances which exhibit a strong magnetism in the same direction of field, when magnetic field is applied to it, are called as ferromagnetic materials. So, these ferromagnetic materials, so they have a strong magnetism inbuilt, means those materials itself they have a magnetic property. That magnetic property is a permanent magnetic property, but at a certain temperature, above that certain temperature, what happens is, so those ferromagnetic materials, they are going to lose the permanent magnetic properties which has been exhibited by them. They are going to lose the permanent magnetic properties and they will get replaced by induced magnetism. Okay. So, this is what is called as a Curie point. So, for the determination of Curie point in ferromagnetic materials, so this thermogravimetric analysis is used. Okay. And the next application is to study the stability of polymers, and we can also study polymers means so they have long chain structures, they will have n number of similar type of structures. So, the stability of polymers also can be studied with the help of thermogravimetric analysis. For example, so polyethylene and polypropylene degrade completely in a single step between 150 degree centigrade and 45 degree centigrade, but the polyvinyl chloride, or it is also called as PVC, shows two steps. The first step with a loss of 60 percentage by around 400 degree centigrade, cellulose and polyacryl amide. Okay. So, this is the example of how we are going to study the stability of the polymers. Okay. So, these are various different applications of thermogravimetric analysis. Okay. So, in this way this technique is very important in analytical chemistry. So, this is widely used technique for the characterization of various different compounds in analytical chemistry. Okay. So, this completes thermogravimetric analysis, and the next part of our discussion will be on derivative thermogravimetry. So, what is meant by derivative thermogravimetry? This is the same technique that is a thermogravimetric analysis. This is also called as thermogravimetric analysis, but so here the plot is obtained by drawing rate of change of weight. So, we are going to plot the graph by taking the rate of change of weight, that is dW divided by dt. Okay. So, this is called as rate of change of weight versus temperature T is called as derivative thermogravimetry, okay, and nothing else. So, this is the same technique of thermogravimetric analysis, okay, but so this is derivative thermogravimetry, it is called as derivative thermogravimetry. So, that is because, so here the plot obtained is drawn by taking rate of change of weight, that is dW divided by dt versus temperature T. So, that is why it is called as derivative thermogravimetry and it is abbreviated as DTG. Okay. Now, we will see. So, this is a representation of a thermogram. Okay. So, this figure is a figure of a thermogram which is obtained by the decomposition curve of copper sulphate pentahydrate. Okay, 5H2O means pentahydrate, copper sulphate pentahydrate. So, this is a derivative thermogram of copper sulphate pentahydrate. Okay. This method is useful for complicated decomposition where weight change occur at close temperatures. Okay. So, why we have to use this derivative thermogravimetry means for certain compounds which have got a closer which possesses or which shows the change in weight at closer temperature, means very closer temperature the change in weight is going to be absorbed. So, this complicates the technique, means if you use the thermogravimetric analysis itself, TGA itself. So, it seems to be a complicated one. So, that is why we have to use a derivative thermogravimetric technique. Okay. So, here the decomposition of copper sulphate can be explained as here each peak represents a thermal decomposition step. Okay. So, these are the peaks. So, here the each peak represents a thermal decomposition step. The thermogram has 6 peaks on. Okay. So, if you can count it, so this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, okay, 6 peaks are there. So, this thermogram has 6 peaks indicating that there are 6 decomposition steps when copper sulphate pentahydrate is heated. Okay. So, these are the 6 reactions which has going to take place in a derivative thermogravimetric analysis. Okay. So, here when copper sulphate pentahydrate is heated, what happens is 2 molecules of water molecules is going to get eliminated, which leaves copper sulphate trihydrated. So, this peak corresponds to this one, and the next, as the temperature goes on increases, 2 molecules of water molecule is going to get eliminated, thereby leaving copper sulphate hydrated. Okay. So, this peak corresponds to this reaction, and here as the temperature goes on increasing, so here again the water molecule is going to get eliminated. So, this peak corresponds to this reaction, and next so the copper sulphate, 2 molecules of copper sulphate, so it starts decomposing here. So, that is why it is taking more time here. So, here from 400 degree to 700 degree, so no reaction is going to take place. That means, so here the copper sulphate is stable, it is stable between 400 to 700 degree centigrade. Once it reaches 700 degree centigrade, so the copper sulphate starts getting decomposed. So, it is going to get converted into cuprous oxide along with the sulphate, and molecules of oxygen is also going to get eliminated, and further as the temperature, so this peak corresponds to this reaction and this peak corresponds to this reaction, in which so the copper sulphate or cuprous oxide sulphate is going to get decomposed into cuprous oxide and sulphate, and oxygen molecules is going to get eliminated, and further in the last step, that is, so this peaks corresponds that, so here the cuprous oxide is going to get further decomposed and it will form a final stable product at 1100 degree centigrade. Okay. So, that is why here the series of reactions, the 6 different reactions which takes place in the decomposition of copper sulphate pentahydrate is clearly observed in terms of peaks in the thermogram. Okay. So, this is what is called as derivative thermogram. And in my next class I will start explaining about differential thermal analysis. So, this is the next thermal methods of analysis, thermoanalytical method, which is widely used for the characterization of various different compounds in analytical chemistry. So, in this also we have to see some introduction part. So, what is meant by differential thermal analysis, and it follows the principle of differential thermal analysis, what is the principle involved in it, and we will see about the instrumentation part, and what is the difference between Tg, dTA and dTg. So, this is very important part where we have to give more concentration from the exam point of view. What is the difference between the curve of thermogravimetry, differential thermal analysis and derivative thermogravimetry, and we will see some applications also, some applications of differential thermal analysis. So, that completes this chapter. Okay. So, I will meet you in my next class. Thank you, dear students.